I wonder if it's just me, or did any of you all read about this lady? I'm sure you did. Betty Shelby, I believe she was. She was a police officer in Oklahoma. And, you know, it seems like this just getting weirder and weirder. After at her court arraignment, she said that, well, I shot the guy because I thought he was reaching into his vehicle for a weapon. And to this day, we don't know if the man was mentally ill or he had some problems going on. But we do know, excuse me, according to that video, that he had his hands up. He was walking away from the officer, and he got to his vehicle, and somewhere in between there, she shot him. And then she said, well, you know, I was afraid for my life, I guess, and he could have had a weapon. Well, is anyone, I wonder if Oklahoma is an open carry state, and if it is, couldn't this gentleman, who was a black man, very well could have had a weapon in his car, and he had a permit to carry the weapon? Then what would her response be? I shot him because he was a big black man and I thought he was going to hurt me? What? I mean, I'm not saying, you know, I don't know what her motives was. I don't. But it certainly smells bad, you know, that there were other officers there with her, and they had tasers out, and she had a weapon, and he had no weapons on him, but seen nowhere. Whew, I'm getting sleepy here. And I just wonder if that would make a difference in her mind. I think that we got to be very careful about putting these police officers or people on the police force who is incapable of making proper decisions, who wants that job solely for the purpose of having power over someone else. And police officers should be held to a higher standard when they take someone's life. I mean, you know, we give these people the right to pull that trigger. You know, that is true. But because we give them that right to pull, you know, to pull the trigger and take someone's life, we need to be holding them to a very, very, very high standard. And we need not allow them to run behind an attorney or the Fifth Amendment or whatever to explain themselves. If they have the authority to go out and pull that trigger because they're police officers, they should have the same, they should be required to stand before any of us and explain, well, this is why I did it, if there was no ill intent. But the first time a police officer kills someone, or especially a black person, the first thing they do is they go and leave, and you never see them. And here recently they just began to release their pictures because they was hiding the people. They didn't want them to know that it was a white person because he was murdering us. Shell, we know that. But we have to be, we want to be fair. We don't want to, you know, paint all police officers with the same brush, because there are good officers out there. We do need police in our community. I know that I'm glad that we got police, you know, because it just so happened not so long ago, a few days ago, there was a young man dumping trash in my community, and there were a cop happened along and caught him. You know, from what I'm told, this gentleman was dumping his trash as if he were in his backyard, just taking his time, like in broad daylight. Like, no, it didn't matter. So the police came along, you know, and caught this guy, and I for one was glad he did that. So we need police officers, but we don't need police officers who are gonna make the police department look bad because they go out here on these streets and do bad things. You know, when you take someone's life, that's a serious charge. It shouldn't be manslaughter if you took an innocent man's life. It should be regular old murder like it would if I took somebody's life. You know, you shouldn't get a lighter sentence because you're a police officer. If you're guilty of the crime, you should, you know, the same time should apply to you. And I think that a lot of police officers, let me reframe that, the bad police officers make the whole all these guys, men and women, look so bad because they go out with intent to do what they do. They go out, there's officers that go out on these streets and they could give a damn about a black person's life. But now it's beginning, people are beginning to pay attention, and these officers are beginning to be very careful about what they do, and that's what they should do. Now, it shouldn't be to the point that where it costs them their lives. No, they should be able to defend themselves. I'm okay with that. Well, why shouldn't they be? It's a tough job. But we should not protect a person that has murdered an innocent individual, no gun, no nothing. That means that woman, in my mind, that this lady, Betty Shelby, I don't think she was even fit to be a police officer if she killed this man. Oh, and by the way, she said that she was afraid the guy was going to reach into his vehicle and get a gun, right? She didn't say on this person, he didn't have no gun on him, his hands was up, so he couldn't say reach into his waist. She said reach into his vehicle. Well, people, the window on the man's vehicle was rolled up. The doors was closed. So how was he going to reach into the vehicle? Is he a ghost? How? Is he was going to go invisible? No, I say I'm not willing to put this woman out here and put this woman out here just because, without no defense. But I do strongly believe that this woman murdered this guy, and now she wants to claim she was afraid for her life. Well, then, Miss Shelby, do you think that individual that you had that gun pointed in his back while he was walking away from you was afraid for his life? Did you consider that did you even consider the man was worth living? I ask you that. Because had you considered that, if you was even a compassionate person, why did you pull your weapon when he had no weapons? The man's hands was in the air. What was that all about? Who told you to pull your weapon? What were you afraid of right then and there? I'll tell you what you was afraid of. He was a black man, and you was determined to tell him he was going to do what you tell him to do because he was a black guy. He had no weapon. He had committed no crime. Nothing. So why did you have your weapon out? I mean, it doesn't look good for you. Not at all. And you guys remember back, I don't know, a couple years ago now, when the individual killed a guy down in, I believe it was North Carolina or South Carolina, down there, where he shot the black guy in the back running away from him, and he walked over and told the guy that he grabbed his taser, and then he walked back to where he was chasing the guy, picked up his taser, walked over and dropped it down on the guy. You got any of you out there remember that? Have you noticed you haven't heard anything about that case? It's all quiet, no proceedings, and it's just everything is done quietly. And this is the thing here is this lady right here, her trial, her case should be open to the public. We should know what's going on with her. We should know the procedures or the proceedings. We should know everything that's going on if you want transparency. Now, I'm not for one to go out in the streets and riot and burn and tear things down. That's not, I'm not with all that. That's the wrong thing to do. I'm not with hating white folk, blaming all the white people for that death, because it wasn't their fault. This was a bad individual, a bad cop, who killed a guy, an unarmed man, happened to be black, and now she want to pretend she was afraid of what? She couldn't say she was afraid he had a weapon. He didn't have one. So there was only one thing left, Miss Shelby, that you could say. You was afraid of him because he was a black man. That's okay. You have a right to do that. But what you don't have a right to do, sweetheart, is to pull the trigger and take that man's life. That's in lie the dilemma you're in. You murdered this guy. You got caught. Now it's you in the headlights like a deer. Your turn to be on the hot seat now. And I don't envy you. I don't know if you have a family or children or any of that. I have no idea. But I can tell you this. If you do, I feel sorry for your family. But that's what hatred will get you, see? That's what, when you hate will come back and get you when you least expect it. And your hatred for black folk came back to get you. You can no longer shoot black people down and murder them. This is not the good old days. I mean, I'm older than you, ma'am. I'm 65 years old. So, I can tell you about racism. I was born in the South. Imagine my life at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. In Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas, you know. Imagine my life. What it must have been like. I mean, I have every right if I want to be, you know, angry, hate people, hate white folk. I don't. Such a waste of time. Life is too short to hate people. Now, I know we should have, there is right and wrong, but hate ain't one of them. So, no, I don't. What I'm concerned about is, what I want is justice. You know, if you have to pull the trigger and to protect yourself and there was a crime being committed, then we understand that. But we do not understand you murdering a man because you was afraid of what? He was walking? He was breathing? Did you? Let me ask you a question, Miss Shelby. Did you feel any less afraid after you shot the man? Did you calm down? What did you do? What was your next move? What did you think after you murdered this guy? What'd you think? You thought you was going to go home and go to sleep and forget about it? And you was going to be protected by the department? Well, you were. They threw your ass to the wolves, and that's what they should have done. You have no right to take a man's life. If the laws are for all of us, though you are a police officer, you have to abide by the same laws as me. In fact, you have to be very careful that you don't step on my constitutional rights or my civil rights. And I have to be respectful of you as a police officer. I didn't see you giving this gentleman any respect. You, to me, and I could be wrong, you went there with the intent of showing this boy how he needs to behave. That's why you pull your weapon out. And that's why you pull the trigger. Either way, it's not a win-win for either one of you all. Especially for the young man that you murdered. He's gone. He's done. But I think that if you did what you did is unjust, it will come back to get you. I think that we need to be very careful about how we treat others. I don't know what to say to you. But I can tell you this. I'm glad I'm not in your shoes. Once again, I want to thank you all, for allowing me to be able to come into your homes, in the privacy of your homes, that is, and to share my views. I'm not doing this to get agreements. I really, honest opinion, honest thought is what I want, or honest debate, I should say. So I don't pull any punches about how I feel about certain things. I'm not going to start now. I'm not one to quickly to throw a person under the bus and call them a racist. I don't know if this lady is a racist. I know this, that man she murdered is gone. So whether she a racist or not, she should pay for that. There was no weapon he had. There was no earthly reason why godly reason why this man should be murdered in the streets. So as I was saying before I got back on that subject, I'm really, really thankful that there's a platform like such as the internet and YouTube channel and all kinds of ways one can spread their beliefs and share their opinion. That's all the more reason that the people that are violent, that are destroying property and things, this is an ideal way to get your message out if you just want to share your message. Going out and destroying things is just ridiculous. I mean, you don't want to do that. It's not what is going to help. You know what? Some of you, I mean, I wouldn't do it. So, but anyway, again, thank you guys. I don't want to ramble on for this opportunity, and I hope I get some likes on this video, and I hope that I get some conversation about it. Please share your thoughts with me. Thank you very much. Until the next time.